track. Once again, our top story tonight, Paul George has signed an extension to stay with the Clippers. The 30-year-old is scheduled to make over $35 million this season, so the new extension adds 4 more years and $190 million for the 6-time All-Star. It guarantees him $226 million over the next 5 years. And new on SportsCenter right now, here's PG-13 on his new contract.
I love being here. I love the family that I've created in my first year. This is where I want to be. This is home. I'm at home. And I want to build a real foundation. And ultimately, this is where my legacy, where I want to leave the biggest imprint on. You know, this deal, was more so about my loyalty to this team and to this organization.
How much of this decision, locking yourself long-term, was optimism that you believe your partnership with Kawhi will continue for the long-term together?
Well, I'm hopeful. I won't put words in another man's mouth. But, I'm hopeful. He's one of the guys that I talked to and kind of wanted to inform, hey, this is a decision I wanted to make. I want to be here long-term. It's not putting a gun to Kawhi and telling him he's got to do this or do that. Hopefully it's a mutual bond. We both enjoy playing with one another.
That is key. NBA insider Brian Windhorst joining us now with much more on this story. The timing of this, Brian, that caught many by surprise. Why do the Clippers want to get this deal done now?
Well, he's eligible for it now. He's qualified as a 10-year veteran, and he's eligible to sign before the season. And so I think they wanted to get it locked in. But to be honest with you, they traded 5 first-round picks and 2 pick swaps to make all this come together. And with him possibly being a free agent at season's end, they had to lock it down. And it's a big contract, and there's some risk attached to it because of his injury history. But as Lawrence Frank, the team president, said, getting this deal done, it's one thing to trade for Paul George. It's another thing to retain him, and they had to get it done to set the stage to try to do the same thing with Kawhi Leonard next summer.
Okay, we'll see that commitment moving forward. James Harden, meanwhile, is still in COVID testing before he can join the Rockets on the court. His playing future could depend on another superstar. Why?
Yeah, so as I've talked to league executives out there, especially in the wake of Giannis Antetokounmpo's sort of non-committal response to the media yesterday about his contract, the word that I'm getting is that everybody is waiting. The teams out there that may have interest in James Harden, even beyond his narrow list that he has provided to the Rockets, they just got to wait and see what Giannis Antetokounmpo does. If he does not extend and he is headed for free agency, it's just going to change the way teams look at wanting to make a big swing for Harden. Harden's a hard guy to trade for a number of reasons: style of play, his contract positioning, the way he's trying to force himself to certain teams. If you take yourself out of the Giannis sweepstakes by going after Harden now, it makes it even more difficult. All signs point to the Rockets trying to ride this out for the short term until trade conditions might improve.
All right, well, we'll look at the next 11 days and keep an eye on Milwaukee as well as Giannis here with that Supermax. Harden, by the way, could be cleared to start practicing as soon as Monday if all his tests are negative. Wendy, thank you.
$10 to his deal. That means he could earn as much as $226 million over the next 5. This after one season in LA, the one season he struggled to get healthy. You may recall, in order to get him, Clippers had to trade. They traded Gilgeous-Alexander, Danilo Gallinari, 5 first-round picks, 2 pick swaps to Oklahoma City. That was July of last year, pairing him with Kawhi Leonard. Clippers had success in the regular season when both George and Kawhi Leonard were on the court together. A net rating of plus 13.2 compared to just 0.4 when only Paul played. But remember, they only played together about half of their 72 games. Then in the bubble, Paul George struggled to find his offense. He shot under 40% from the field and 33% from 3 in the postseason, scoring fewer than 20 points in 7 of the Clippers' 13 playoff games. He really struggled. That led in part to the Clippers falling apart against the Nuggets. They squandered a 3-1 series lead to lose in 7 to Denver. So remember, the Clippers franchise still has yet to make it to the Western Conference Finals ever. But with PG locked in, maybe that'll finally change. More details on the financials here. He was already scheduled to make $35.5 million next season. The 4-year extension includes a player option for almost $49 million for the 2024-25 season. That's when Paul George will be 34 years old. As for Kawhi Leonard, the two-time NBA Finals MVP, he has a player option coming up after this season. Say hello now to Adrian Wojnarowski, who broke this story, joining us live on SportsCenter. And Woj, this news came as a surprise to many. What was the thought process for the Clippers and their decision to give Paul George this max deal?
Sage, I think the long view for both the Clippers and Paul George, it made perfect sense that the Clippers had traded, as you detailed, 5 first-round picks, a great young player in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, to get Paul George, which helped them get Kawhi Leonard. And now they have him locked in. They have him locked in through his prime, right up until they hope to open their new arena, the Clippers in LA. And now it allows them to go through this season with just Kawhi Leonard still having a year left on his deal. But I think for Paul George and the Clippers, they wanted to be together. You know, Paul George wanted that trade to LA. He got it, and he wants to be a Clipper, certainly through the prime of his career. He has said for the rest of his career. I think it was a no-brainer, really, for both sides.
Okay, yeah, and he's a LA native, back at home there. And we all know Kawhi is the one who's really the most responsible, I think you could say, for Paul coming to the Clippers in the first place. What does Paul's max deal mean for Kawhi? As I would think that would mean it's going to happen quickly, right?
Yeah, Kawhi Leonard can't sign an extension until after next season. He's got the year left on his deal. And listen, he and Paul George they've been connected throughout. Certainly, you know they've got to be the two players who have to be the catalyst to make a longer postseason run, to go at the Lakers, who are now the defending champions. But that partnership has remained strong. But if you're the Clippers, you feel a lot more confident going into the season knowing that one of your stars is locked down. You don't want to have to go into a year like this, and with both of them having the option to leave in free agency potentially. Crazy things can happen in the NBA, but I think there's confidence with the Clippers, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, that they're going to be together for a long time.
Absolutely. Clippers and new head coach Ty Lue begin preseason play tomorrow night against those Lakers.
They know they've got to be the two players who have to be the catalyst to make a longer postseason